Hello and welcome to my review of the Warhammer 40,000 Conquest subscription by Hatchett Partworks. Now if you don't know what this is, it is a monthly subscription. I say monthly, weekly. You get a magazine every week, but you get all four of them at the end of the month. Each magazine is supposed to be £7.99. I didn't receive issue 2, and this is the review of issue 2. It's been quite a couple of months since issue 2 came out, last year sometime in fact, but after a couple of emails, Hatchett Partworks immediately sent me the missing issue, and now all is good. So I've got all the issues kind of sort of up to date now. So I thought I'd finally do a review of this one. I think I did the unboxing first look of it last week. It's important to note that these easy to build Death Guard Plague Marines are the exact 3 models that you get in issue 6. So already 4 issues after this, you're getting identical models, which is what I kind of thought would happen. Anyway, let's have a look at issue 2. So issue 2 gave you the first Death Guard Plague Marines. Issue 1 gave you the Intercessors, I believe, and paints and all the rest of it. Issue 2 gives you the 3 Death Guard and the pot of Death Guard Green, which is actually right here. Now, it's up to you. The Death Guard models in the subscription come in green plastic anyway, so you don't have to paint them, but a large part of the hobby is painting them, as well as obviously building them and collecting them and gaming with them. I personally wouldn't use Death Guard Green to paint them. I would go out and treat yourself to, I think it's £12 or £15 can of spray of Death Guard Green. It's going to last you quite a fair few models, and I would spray the Death Guard models with the Death Guard Green. Then I'd dry brush them with a new colour, Pallid Witch Flesh, very light dry brushing, then shade them with Agrax Earthshade. I've got a painting guide on the channel. All you have to do is type in Death Guard painting tutorial or painting guide, and you will find it somewhere. And I go through every single step to paint a Death Guard Plague Marine. Anyway, I just thought I'd make that point that the 3 models here, you then get the exact same models in issue 6, minus the Death Guard Green paint. So I finally got it. The issue is like all the rest of them, pretty much. It's a description of Death Guard, the Plague Planet. There's a tiny little bit about Mortarion. If you want to find more, I can't recommend the Death Guard Codex enough. I do have a review of this on the channel. It's an amazing codex. It's quite a decent size one at 102 pages, but there's a lot more lore in there. You've got all the rules. One of my most recent issues has some data sheets and things now, so you are finally getting the Warhammer 40,000 rules, which is, you know, what I've been kind of moaning about at the start. You've got how to build them, very easy to build. These 3 models on Games Workshop's website will cost you £10. This issue itself was £4.99, so it was half price pretty much for these 3, and you get the pot of Death Guard Green as well. Essentially you got £12.50's worth of Games Workshop products, Citadel products, for £5, which I think is really, really good. Anyway, it goes through a painting guide. Obviously at this point you only had like 3 colours, Death Guard Green, the Retributor and the Chaos Black. There's a few kind of rules in here, moving tutorials, shooting tutorials, extra rules. Basically it was the first time you got to play these against Intercessors. And then a little advert. If you subscribe, you then get all of these goodies. The painting handle has only just come for me, so you get that quite late on. But it then goes to show you an advert for issue 3 and issue 4, Lead Belcher, which is quite an important paint. You get the Reavers in issue 3, and then you get the amazing Potswalkers in issue 4. So let's have a look at the models themselves. These are supposed to be falling apart, because you get a folder, a really nice folder later on to put them in, and you are supposed to sort of separate them into like lore and rules and build guides and all the rest of it. Let's have a look at the models. So I'll be going through the rules anyway from the codex in this review. Let me just change the lighting a little bit. Oh, there we go. Right, so you get this Death Guard Plague Marine with the bolt gun, lots of detail, especially for like a easy to build plastic miniature. I think I've actually painted this model. He's somewhere in one of my boxes. Anyway, really cool looking model. This one with a blight launcher, which is a really cool weapon. I haven't drilled out the hole. I didn't drill out the hole in there, by the way. I just thought I'd point that out. So these aren't ready to spray, and I've got a few things to clean up. But this is a really cool bloated miniature, and that weapon is pretty good too. And then finally, this kind of champion who's got a plague sword and a power fist, and also he's hiding on the back on his power pack this plasma gun, which is a plasma weapon. They're pretty good in Warhammer 40,000. And then he's got this gut that's kind of full of teeth there, and a horn coming out. But there you go. I mean, in a mass army of these, I say a mass army, you don't need that many, but in a mass army, you're not going to notice, you know, these, you know, replicas of of issue 6 if you're already building up your Death Guard army. They're not going to look too similar. And also, if you really want, you can cut the pegs off and then just glue the arms and things in completely different poses. Maybe put a different head or helmet on them. Really go to town. But I thought I'd just pay the subscription homage by sort of gluing them the way they've sort of built them. Anyway, what I like to do now is just show you some size comparisons. So I've got a normal Space Marine here. As you can see, very, very similar. They are a bit bloated, but they're not that much bigger. They are bigger, you can definitely tell that. A lot more bulk to them, but that's to one of the new Space Marine heroes, which I believe is one of the most accurate sizes at the moment. And then, of course, next to a Primaris. Primaris are just a little bit taller than these Plague Marines. You know, they're sort of the size they should be. But on the battlefield, you can definitely tell them apart, other than the colour, of course, you know, with their sizes and, you know, the grotesqueness of the Death Guard. Okay, hope that size comparison helps. What I'll do now is go through all of the rules for these Plague Marines. Now, the rules don't come in issue 2. The rules for these actually come in issue 13. So you're going to have to go a bit further on in the subscription to finally get your hands on the rules, or you can just buy the codex. The only problem with the codex is that it differs slightly to the rules that Hatchett Partworks or, you know, jointly Games Workshop are providing you. What I mean by that is the stat lines are exactly the same. Okay, you know, the costs of them, power points cost of a 7, they're a troop choice, their movement is 5 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill are 3+, strength 4, toughness 5, wounds 1, attacks 1, leadership 7 and a save of 3+. And also the Plague Champions, they have 1 extra attack and 1 extra leadership. Where they differ is the unit kind of description, in that in the codex it says the unit contains 1 Plague Marine champion and 4 Plague Marines. Then it goes on to say it can include up to 2 additional Plague Marines, up to 5 additional Plague Marines, up to 10 additional Plague Marines, or up to 15 additional Plague Marines. Each model is armed with a Plague Knife, a Bolt Gun, Blight Grenades and Crack Grenades. Now, Hatchett Partworks datasheet, that says this unit contains 1 Plague Marine champion and 2 to 4 Plague Marines. So they've got round this 5 model minimum kind of restriction, in that you can have 1 champion, which will be this dude here, and then 2 normal Plague Marines in 1 unit, which is pretty good if you just want that plasma gun, the power fist and the blight launcher. Pretty good. And then again it says each model is armed with a Plague Knife, bolt gun, blight grenades and crack grenades. The number of weapons on the weapon profile is also heavily watered down in the Hatchett Partworks data sheet. You don't have a Plague Belcher, a Plague Spewer, a Flail of Corruption, a Great Plague Cleaver, a Mace of Contagion. You don't have any of those weapons that you do in the codex. I think that's mainly because you never will in this collection. That's my understanding of it, you're not going to get the multi-part kits. There are some multi-part kits, of course, like the characters and things like that. But in this set, you're not going to get those. So that's why the list is very concentrated in that, and the most sort of exotic weapons really is the Blight Launcher and the Plasma Gun. Now, the Blight Launcher, which the model in the middle is armed with, is a range 24-inch weapon, assault 2, strength 6, AP -2 and a damage of D3. You can re-roll wound rolls for 1 for this weapon. That's pretty good. So 2 shots, always firing at 24 inches. You've got strength 6, AP -2 is very good, and damage D3 is pretty good too. Bolt pistols, bolt guns, their usual profile withstands. The Plasma Gun, which is what the champion has, that's a range 24-inch, rapid fire 1, strength 7, AP -3 and a damage of 1, but he can also supercharge it to increase the strength of 8 and to cause 2 damage. But on a hit roll of a 1, the bear is slain after all the weapon shots have been resolved. A Plague Knife, which each model has, is the strength of the user, damage 1, but you can re-roll wound rolls of 1 for this weapon. The champion may also take a Power Fist, which times the strength by 2, so that's 8, AP -3 and damage is D3, but you subtract 1 from the hit roll, so you're going to be hitting on 4+. Still not too bad with 2 attacks. And it can change that Plague Knife to a Plague Sword, which just allows him to re-roll failed wound rolls for the weapon rather than just rolls of a 1. And finally, up to 2 Plague Marines can each replace their bolt guns with either a Blight Launcher or Plasma Gun. That's pretty good too. Up to 2 Plague Marines can replace with either a Blight Launcher or Plasma Gun. So it doesn't say 1 of each specifically. So there's nothing stopping you really from having 2 Blight Launchers and that champion in your squad if you really want, but that's going to be quite a high cost, you know, in match play. Moving on to abilities. They have a few things on here that aren't in the Death Guard Codex. They have Disgustingly Resilient, which means each time this model loses a wound, you roll a dice, and on a 5+, the model does not lose that wound. That's straightforward. But it also has Inexorable Advance. Models in this unit can fire twice with rapid fire weapons at a range of 18 inches. They also do not suffer a hit penalty for advancing when firing assault weapons. So that's pretty new. That's not in the Death Guard Codex. And also Death to the False Emperor. That is in the Death Guard Codex, whereby each hit roll of a 6 the model makes in the fight phase, it can immediately make an extra attack against the same unit using the same weapon. These extra attacks cannot earn more extra attacks, so that's pretty self-explanatory. The keywords: Chaos, Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, Death Guard and Infantry Plague Marines. So there you go, a few small tweaks and changes in the rules for these models for Death Guard compared to the Codex, which came out last year, I want to say, beginning of last year. It might even be a little bit earlier than that. I'm a big fan of the models. I've got the Myphitic Blight Launcher, so I'll be doing a kind of like another review of that, and that's my favourite Death Guard model. Well, close to Mortarion, that is. Anyway, what do you guys think of these, and what do you think of the collection, I say, so far? Please do put it in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. Papa bless.